So in preparation of Star Wars The Force Awakens coming out December 18th, I thought I would go ahead and watch all of the Star Wars films. Yes, including the prequels. Now when The Phantom Menace came out in 1999, I was about 8 years old. I had watched a few of the Star Wars films before that and I didn't get the chance to see this in theaters. When it did come out on VHS, I saw it and I thought this was a really fun film. You know, I was young, I didn't really critique any movies, I just thought it was a cool movie with pod racing and Jedis fighting. But it wasn't a Star Wars film that I watched a lot. And it wasn't until I believe 2011 or 2012 when I saw this film again when it had its 3D release. And then coming out of that film I said, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, is not a great film. Yet I still love Star Wars, but I don't really care for Star Wars Episode 1. The one thing that really bugs me about this film is that it's very, very dull. I don't want to sit and watch a movie about trade federations.
What? What did you say?
Signing peace treaties, when I want to see a developing story about Jedis and cool space battles, things like that that made Star Wars, the original trilogy, so great. Yet here we get this whole movie that's filled with 2 hours and 16 minutes worth of peace treaties and trade federations. Going back and remember watching this first film, I don't remember any of those parts. I remember just the pod racing scene and the end scene. Now watching all of it together as an adult, I don't want to watch any of those other scenes. Just when you think some of the scenes are going to get really fun, they bring it back to that trade federation. Now going back and watching it, I see why they have this trade federation scenes and it's a setup for the next few films, but the whole story is just really pointless. And then you have Darth Maul, who looks really awesome, has great lightsaber skills, but is a villain that's not established at all. In this kind of movie, you need an established Sith. You have Darth Sidious, who appears in the holograms at times, but then he gives a lot of orders to Darth Maul. Darth Maul is the least established villain in any of the Star Wars films. Yet I really like him. I like how he looks, I like that he doesn't really talk much, but I want him to be more established. I want to be feared by him. I want the Jedis to fear Darth Maul. And with not established villain, there's not really established main character either. I went back and watched Chris Stuckman's review for The Phantom Menace, and he says, I challenge you to figure out who the main character is. And I thought maybe, you know, Liam Neeson's the main character with Qui-Gon Jinn. No, not really, because the part of the story focuses on Anakin. So the main character is who? Another thing I just really don't like about this film is that it doesn't feel real at all. Yes, there's at times where some of the shots are similar to some of the original trilogy shots, but overall there's nothing real about this film. It relies so heavily on the CGI that the actors really can't connect to anything. And then I can't connect to anything. I don't connect to anything in this film. I don't connect to the characters because they're just talking to green screens. I don't connect to the pod races because they look so cheesy. When looking at this film, it seems like there should be some emotional scenes with Anakin leaving his mother, with Qui-Gon's death. There's a lot of scenes that could have been emotional, but the way the actors are, they're very stern, they're very wooden, that none of them are actually emotional. The young boy playing Anakin's like, okay, I'm gonna leave my mother. That's it, nothing's happening. Oh yeah, Qui-Gon's dead, who cares? Nothing's emotional about this film when everything should have been emotional. Unfortunately, the tone for this is kind of childish. You can tell that this movie is aimed at the children and not the whole family and the adults who actually love Star Wars growing up. And it sets that tone very early in the film when they introduce the character Jar Binks. Now there's not a lot I can say about Jar Binks that hasn't already been said. He's a character that's very childish and foolish and silly and a very unneeded character. Growing up, I didn't really hate him, but now I can see him as an unnecessary character in the whole Star Wars franchise. Some people thought that the Ewoks in Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, was kind of childish and not really needed, but they accepted it. Now take that, and that's the whole entire film of Star Wars Episode 1. It's childish. I don't ever really take it seriously. The dialogue's cheesy. Everything about this film is cheesy and just reminds me of how people felt about the end of Return of the Jedi. It's the whole entire Phantom Menace movie. With a lot of talk about this film being really bad, there are some things I did like about this film. I did like the end fight sequence scene between Darth Maul, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Qui-Gon Jinn. I thought that was really choreographed well. A lot of great fighting scenes. The score was really great at those moments. But other than that, that's like the only thing I like about this film. I did like that they showed a few of the original characters like Jabba the Hutt, the Ewoks, the Sand People, C-3PO, R2-D2. I like when they showed them a little bit because they're just like a little throwback to the original films. But other than that, this film was very dull, emotionless, outdated with its CGI, and a very uninteresting story. So I'm going to go ahead and give Star Wars The Phantom Menace a C. It took me many years to realize how bad this film was. I'm going to use Chris Stuckman's term once again, the Phantom Menacing, where I thought this film was really great, but then years and years down the road, it isn't a great film. So I'm excited to talk about the rest of the Star Wars films leading up to The Force Awakens, which I am truly excited for. What are you guys' thoughts on Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace? Did you guys like it? Did you guys think it was a disappointment? Or do you guys absolutely hate this film? I just think it's more of a disappointment. There are some things I like about it. It's not completely bad, but overall it's a very disappointing film. So this is Just Watching Movies. Thanks everybody guys for watching my videos, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.